If you want to check out a book in Odessa, the Ector County Library is most likely the place you would go. Stocked with all sorts of books you can choose from, whether you want to learn about basketball or arts and crafts. This library sitting on Fifth Street is the place to be, and has been for the past 85 years. However, they weren't always sitting on Fifth Street. In fact, you'd never guess where this Odessa staple had its start.
So we started out in our first location, which was a jailhouse, combined courthouse, in 1938 with 800 donated books.
They wanted it by the courthouse square. To redo the building, it only cost around $900. The women's clubs and the clubs of Odessa had come together trying to figure out how to get a library in Odessa. And that's whenever they had reached out to Austin at the Capitol and found out that they would give $1,000 to set up a library.
The jailhouse location had 2 stories, the second later being a children's department. 2 stories, manned by one woman.
Miss Lila Box White was our first librarian. In 1938 is whenever she was hired. She was hired for $125 at most a year. She had been a teacher at OHS for 2 years before she ended up being hired as the sole employee of the first Ector County Library. For a complete year, she was by herself until 1939, whenever they finally hired her an assistant.
And Miss Lila needed a little more than just an assistant, because the library was growing book by book, fast. Within the first year, the collection grew from 800 to 2,500, and the books just kept on coming.
And by 1942, they had over 6,000, so within a short amount of time, we had grown, because in 1942 is whenever we moved to our second location.
The second location was located on North Lee from 1943 to 1981, expanding in 1957. In 20 years, the library went from 800 to almost 51,000 books, about 63 times more books than in 1938.
And they thrived there and did pretty well.
Pretty well is an understatement, as like the Odessa population, they yet again outgrew their location after 39 prosperous years with a whopping 300,000 item inventory. That's where the vast current location comes in, which let's just say can handle the monstrous book amount, as they moved in 1981. The building is 4 times as big as the second library.
This space became available, and this was the Headley Medical Building, and we've been in here ever since.
There's a reason the Ector County Library celebrated its 85-year anniversary this year. They've been among the best libraries not just in the area, but in Texas.
In the 70s, we were checking out so many books that we were beating Lubbock and the surrounding areas, that for a long time, our library was known as the best between El Paso and Fort Worth.
And despite being much smaller than a lot of Texas libraries, like Odessa, this library has shown that they can hang.
It had been the 14th most circulated library in Texas, even though we were like the 20th largest by population.
And the growing hasn't stopped since, as the Ector County Library has followed the trajectory of the city it resides in terms of growth.
Our buildings have grown with the population. Whenever we first started, Odessa was not as big as it is now. Now we're over 100,000 people. Compared to our population, our square footage has grown to be able to have more materials to meet more people's needs.
And don't expect this library to stop growing anytime soon. Over 85 years, physical copies may add up, but they can also turn the page to a more technology-friendly chapter.
As the years have gone by, we started off with just physical books. Now we offer so much more, like digital books through Hoopla, Libby. The library has just kind of grown with the community.
The ever-growing expansion of the library goes to show just how much you can accomplish in Odessa. Whether you start from your basement or a jailhouse, maybe in 85 years you can also accomplish just how much the Ector County Library has. Because if the little old library that started with one worker can become what it is today 85 years later, anyone can. It just takes a little reading between the lines. Reading in the Ector County Library, I'm Marcus Rising.